basically, I believe you just said that I start unhitch and then hit the two buttons to turn it on.
Well, you're going to turn the two buttons on first so you can
Right.
get it off the ball
Right.
on the vehicle. Okay.
Okay. Very well.
And you can see that front jack actually working right now. It's actually starting to go up in the air.
Got it.
It does not need to be supported on the front of it. It just needs to be supported underneath the camper. Okay. Now you're going to see the back one start working.
Got it.
Okay.
Real briefly, sir. Can you just briefly go through that one more time? I just hit record.
Okay,
when
you're
you
fine.
said it. Real briefly. You don't have to just. I got what you said.
All right. So what you have is to operate the system. You're hitting these two arrows at the same time to turn this unit on.
Okay.
The up and down is going to get this off the ball on the vehicle. You're going to go inside, open up your slides next. You're going to adjust your jacks underneath the camper. You're now going to come back in here and hit auto level on this. It starts leveling up the system at that point.
Okay.
Okay? And then this unit will shut itself back off.
Got it.
When you want to turn this back on, you're just hitting them two arrows to basically turn it back on again for yourself.
Okay.
How you know the system is done is when you get a solid yellow light. If it's blinking, it's telling you it's still operating. Okay?
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to basically wait for the system to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll talk about a couple other things that you're going to kind of look for when you're basically getting ready to retract everything.
Got you.
Okay?
Absolutely.
All right, let me see if this will stop flashing.
And this is 2022 Jayco Eagle HT 28 BHOK. Obviously, the system is leveling itself off.
It's complete at this point.
But you do want to balance. You do want to level the trailer before you even begin.
Yes, on the tires from side to side.
From side to side.
Yes.
Got it.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about retracting everything, getting ready to leave the campground.
Okay.
Okay. So the one thing that you got to remember is, like I said, slide out's always first and last. Okay.
Okay.
So the first things that you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to lift up these steps here. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to get these steps off the ground, because if the trailer comes down, you're going to jam these steps into the ground. Okay, so make sure that the system is out of the way. To adjust legs on the steps, you have a little lever at the bottom here. Right here. This is going to have the steps coming out.
Got it.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go up front here. If you notice, the system is shut down again.
Okay.
You hit the two arrows, turns it back on again. We're going to go ahead and retract the jacks.
Okay.
So we're actually taking where it says hitch height. Don't hit auto retract, because that's going to retract everything, and then this is actually going to go all the way down to the ground. Okay. It loses the memory for how high it had to be when it gets hitched up on the car. Okay, so you're going to go to hitch height. So when you hit this button, you're going to hear the back jacks coming up, this front jack will start coming down, and then the mother front jacks will go back up again. Okay.
Yes, sir. Now, is it necessary that you chalk?
Yes, you do want to put a block on it.
You do want to put a block
Yes,
there.
because it's going to be looking for height.
Okay.
And the jack is only so long they actually get up at a point.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then it's not a bad idea to maybe chuck a board underneath the jacks itself. That way it's got more of a base to sit on. Because
Absolutely.
otherwise you'll see where these kind of shimmy into the gravel and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
If you're setting it up on a grassy surface, you're going to liable to get a soft spot in the ground. You'll put in maybe a block of wood, or you can buy these plastic Lego blocks they can throw underneath them, and it will actually put a nice support to them.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then, of course, once the jacks are on the up, you may take the time out, pull this pin so you can raise this leg back up close to the body again.
Right.
Because otherwise they're going to hang too low and they're going to grab something and bend the jack up.
And I'm sure that people forget about it.
Yeah.
Human error. Always.
Yeah. So,
How easy of a fix is that if someone forgets that and should hug a curb and tear that off?
or you're going to get a new jack for one. You're going to have to order a new jack.
I mean, is that well, I guess what I'm saying is that an easy fix, or is that something that the shop, that Jayco will have to?
That's something that you can go to any dealership as long as
Okay.
they don't know anything about the jack systems.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you always want to keep that in mind as far as when you're dealing with the jack setups. Pull the pin, raise them up, get them as close as possible to the body itself.
Got it.
Okay. The next thing that we would do is once we get the jacks all up in the air, we would go inside the unit and we would bring the slide out back in.
Okay.
And then we would come back out and we would start hitching up on the vehicle at that point.
Okay.
Okay. So that is your setup as far as how you're going to set your camper up.
Got
As
it.
far as slide outs, jacks, everything like that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the jack system?
Negative. I think we covered everything.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the LP. You have 230 pounds of LP. They are full. On the front of this, you have a dial here that goes from one tank to the other tank.
Got it.
It's just a matter of flipping it one way or another. You'll see where it's turned red. And you'll see where it's turned green. When it's turned green, it's letting you know that you're running LP through the system. If this bottle goes empty, you're going to see this turn red for yourself. So what you're doing is you're going to run one bottle completely empty, get a time frame as how long the bottle lasts you. That way, when you fill this bottle back up, throw it back in place, you know how long the bottle lasts you then. Now, when you guys are out camping, and you've been on this bottle for a while, I always tell everybody, I says, I think the bottle's getting close to getting empty. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I may turn on another bottle. In the middle of the night, if you're running the furnace or whatever, and you run out of LP, this will automatically switch over to that.
Okay.
It's going to show you red on this tank. It's going to tell you that this one empty at that point, but you're still running on the LP because you're running off this bottle. So all you're doing is you're shutting off that bottle, flipping the lever, and you'll see where this turns green again.
Okay.
Okay. Don't run this in the center because you're going to have no clue what bottle's empty at that point. Okay. It's just one way or the other way.
Okay.
Okay. These are about 55 pounds a piece. Okay. And I always tell everybody, keep these bottles as long as possible. These are date coded for 12 years. Take them to a gas company, no worries, stamp them with a 10-year mark or a 7-year mark.
Okay.
Okay. They'll test them, then they'll basically set you up again. Okay. A lot of your places will only have 20-pound bottles. You want to keep your 30-pound bottle. Okay. So this is one of the reasons you want to keep these as long as possible.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Battery that's in the back. This is a deep cycle marine battery, and the battery will charge up many different ways for us.
Okay.
If we plug in our sub-my round, which I have right here, it's going to offer a charge line that's going to charge that battery back there off your vehicle.
Okay.
If you plug the cord in at the campground or at home or wherever you're going to be, your converter inside has a little trickle charger that will throw charge in the battery as well. We have solar panels that are we can put on roofs, and we can have the sun charge up the batteries for us. Okay? So battery's always going to have a constant charge to it. This is a sealed battery. You don't do any kind of maintenance, just keep the battery clean on top. Otherwise, dust will actually discharge it to as well. Okay? So another thing that you got to remember is if you're going to park this for the winter time and you're not going to be using it, do yourself a favor, pull the battery out of there. Put it in the garage or basement, put a battery tender on it. It'll charge up the battery as well.
Okay.
Okay? And that way you can put it back in place and have a nice charged battery for yourself. Okay? Lights that are in the front of the camper, they're going to work off these switches over there.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then hitch equipment, we're not going to talk about any of that until we actually get the car in here and actually load up on it.
Okay.
Because I'm going to make the final adjustments on these bars,
Mm-hmm.
and you shouldn't have to make any adjustments at that point.
Okay.
This cable here is a breakaway cable. If this ever gets pulled, you'll see it down here. It's a little black box right here. If this cable ever gets pulled, it's going to set the brakes on the camper. This is just for traveling purposes. So if the trailer roof can disconnect on the vehicle, that cable gets pulled, it's going to set the brakes on the camper off this battery here.
So it's electronically controlled?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. If you accidentally unplug yourself, just pop it back in again.
Okay.
Okay. Safety chains, we tell everybody you want to cross the chains when you put them up in your vehicle.
Right.
Okay. And then the latch, when you push it forward, you're basically locking it in. If you want to unlock it off the ball, press back and it unlocks off the ball itself.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Questions on the front of this? It's a 2 5/16 ball.
I'm just curious how it locks on the ball, but I could look that up. It's not a big deal.
Well, you get your ball up underneath there, and it's got this little coupler on the back side will actually force it up underneath the ball.
Okay.
Okay? That way you want to push back, flip this back, takes it off the ball itself.
Understood.
And then you're going to run these up and down and get it on and off the ball itself.
Okay.
Okay? Alright. This is most of your hitch equipment that's in here. On your lights, you have motion lights, or you can actually turn them where they're on all the time for yourself.
Okay.
So you just a switch they could flip one way or the other. Okay. This is for your outside shower, which is right here for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then this lever here is going to be for the hot water tank. So when you winterize the unit, you're not putting 6 gallons of antifreeze into the hot water tank. You can bypass this by just flipping this up.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, in use, flip it down. That way you can heat up water. That way when you're taking showers, doing dishes, washing hands, you have nice hot water for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. This switch here is for a pump. So if you're going to dry camp, you have a fresh water tank inside the trailer. You're basically going to pressurize your own system by turning on this water pump. You have a red light that comes on to let you know that the system's on at that point. If you're hooking up on city pressure, there's no reason to turn this on. The city's going to give you that pressure already at that point. And it's just a matter of just setting up your setups here as far as what you want to get inside the camper.
Okay.
Okay. When it comes to winterizing and sanitizing, you're going into this one. If you're going to hook up on city pressure or fill up your fresh water tank, you're going into this one for yourself. Okay. This one here is going to be for your toilet tank. Okay. Your black water that's back there. Okay. So keep in mind that you want to put water to that and you want to flush out your tank once in a while. Otherwise, you're going to get little lights that come on saying you got something in there when it's just something that's hung up on a sensor for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. these are your valves. That's going to dump your tanks off. The 2 grays are going to be shower and sink water. Black is going to be your toilet water. Okay. And they're all labeled down below to let you know what's on everything.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Everything that you hook up in here, you can go right through the floor. That way you can close your door up and lock it up at that point. Okay. This over here is going to be for cable connections, satellite connections, whatever you want to set up into. Okay. Up in the top corner over here is going to be for if you want to put a solar panel out here. Okay. You can add on solar panels as well.
Got it.
Okay. Low point drains, that's all this stuff that you see down here.
Okay. Now, before we move on, I have a question. So that says sanitize, winterize. What would I be hooking up to that exactly?
When?
No, what would I be hooking up to?
Oh,
that?
your water line.
Your water.
No, over in this area, what you're doing is you're basically, inside the camper, there's a clear line.
Right.
That would be for if you carried some jugs over here, and you put the clear line into it, and you turn on the water pump, and as long as you have it set up into winterize or sanitize, what you're doing is you're sucking whatever's in the jugs out here into your fresh water tank or through the camper itself.
Okay, so both the water tank and the fresh and the lines itself.
Well, they run 2 different ways though. Okay, because you got to remember that sanitizing is going to put everything into your fresh water tank so you can actually run through your system of the camper itself. Winterizing, you're running right to your faucets, showers, sinks, and toilets and stuff like that in it. You're bypassing your fresh water tank at that point.
Okay, and that would be antifreeze to keep the water.
It's going to be an RV antifreeze.
RV
Yes,
to keep things from freezing over.
Correct. Yes.
And you would basically put it in the buckets. How much would you?
It's usually 2 gallons of antifreeze around the whole system.
To winterize.
To winterize it, yes.
Last question. After you've done that and you want to de-winterize or get all that antifreeze out, what would you do then?
So what you would be doing is you'd be filling up your fresh water tank.
Okay.
And then you're going to turn on your water pump. And of course you're going in, this is the way you're setting it up, is you're going to fill up your fresh water tank. After the tank is full, you're going to go into dry camp. And that's going to produce your pressure for your water pump. Okay? So when you turn that switch on, you're going to hear the pump running, builds pressure, basically send it to the faucets and shower sinks and toilets and stuff like that.
How would you know when it's okay to drink that?
When you don't see no more antifreeze run through system, what you can always do is you can always go one step farther and you can sanitize the system. So if you wanted to, you could put a solution in a bucket, you can suck it out of the bucket into your fresh water tank, okay? And then run it through your system and you can actually sanitize the whole entire system for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. And you may do that probably once a year or maybe every other year or something like that. So you kind of use your judgment as far as when you want to sanitize the system.
All right. That's if you're not using it in the winter. Because if you was using it in the winter, you probably wouldn't winterize.
Well, the winter time, you got to remember that there's water lines that are exposed outside, so the
chances of freezing are very possible.
Yes.
Okay.
No. Okay. Yeah, you'd have to watch a lot of YouTube sites and see what they're doing to get around that. So,
I do, believe me.
Believe me, it's very risky though. So once you get something that starts freezing up, you better find a garage that you can park it somewhere so you can actually unthaw it at that point.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you're going to crack a line and start freezing at that point.
Absolutely. And just for clarification purposes, because you probably experienced in this, I was having a discussion with someone about the tank heater, the 12 volt and 110 volt tank heaters, and somebody was saying, well, if you have a 50+ gallon water tank and you're worrying about that freezing, obviously the lines will be frozen much quicker than 50 gallons of water. So it's kind of like almost like a waste of, because if you worried about 80 gallons freezing, And you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about that? Do you think that they're useful, or are they just?
To me, if I was running something like that, I wouldn't hardly have anything in my tanks when I'm trying to heat up something, because the pads are only going to heat to a certain point, and they're not going to keep everything nice and warm so they can come out. Everything's going pretty much slushy at that point.
Okay. Use your discretion.
I suggest not to.
Okay.
Alright, so I have a slide out here. Slide outs, keep in mind that the only time they're being sealed is when they're completely out or all the way in. You notice I'm only halfway out on the slide out.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing that you got to remember that anything that's laying on top of a slide, make sure you clean it off before you bring it in, because otherwise you're dragging everything inside and you're going to cause rubber gasket damage here at that point. Okay. Don't walk on the slide out. The main roof you can walk around on. Okay. You want to get up there at least every 3 months and you're checking sealants. You're looking for Dicor, which is a self-leveling caulk around vents, sewer pipes, main seams, skylights, TV antennas, and you're looking for bubbling and cracking at that point.
Okay.
If you find any of it, it's just a spot checks. That's all you're doing. Okay, and you're just cleaning that surface up that needs to be touched up, and then use your Dicor to seal it back up again. Okay, there's no need to scrape it off and then put new sealant back in place. Just go right over the top of it at that point. Use an alcohol, denatured alcohol, to clean the surface before you put the sealant on it. And then on the body, you'll find it around body seams, storage compartments, light fixtures. This is a quad seal. This is a home product. This is for doors and windows. Okay. So you're looking for the same thing, bubbling and cracking. If you find any of that, just clean up with an alcohol and just spot check it. Okay. There might be a little cracking right here. Clean it and then put sealant. Seal it back up again. There's no need to do the whole entire surface or something.
Is there a specific type of sealant?
It's a home product. It's for doors and windows.
It's for doors and windows. Because it looks clear and it looks.
Yeah, and you can get it in different colors. Like this is a sealant around this and everything. Okay, that's a quad seal.
And you would apply this with your hand, I'm assuming?
Well, you'd use a caulk gun. Put it on there, and then take your finger and just wipe it and smooth it off.
Okay.
Okay. And that way it's nice and sealed up for you at that point.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I believe in this area too. That valve down there is going to be the low point drain for the freshwater tank.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want to drain your freshwater tank, you're going to do so at that point right there.
Well, can I ask you? I hear a lot in RV use that they also apply something for these rubber things to kind of keep them conditioned.
You can do this one. You can do a silicone spray for rubber gaskets. Okay, you can just spray it on there. Just let it
How
soak into
often should you?
You might do it a couple times a year.
A couple times.
Yeah, a couple times a year. And then underneath, there's a dry lube that you can do on all your bars and stuff like that underneath it. Just give it a spray and just keep them lubricated.
Okay.
It keeps your squeaking and vibrations and stuff down to a minimum.
Okay.
The next thing you got here is you got your main label for the camper itself, which has got an ID number of it, weight limits of it, tire size and air pressure, weight limits again. You have tire and air pressure and all your weight limits on it. Okay. All right. And then you have a 50 amp cord, and you're also going to get the adapter here that goes from a 50 to a 30.
Okay.
The other cord is ours. That's going to be for the for the house here. And you'll be removing this when you're not using it and put it in your storage compartment.
Okay.
And then you got your 6-gallon hot water tank. have here is an anal rod that you're going to put in place, and if you want, you can. I suggest that you put some Teflon tape around it.
Okay.
That way it doesn't rust up on you.
Okay.
And what you want to do is you got to remember that when you put water into this tank, you're going to create an air pocket inside of it. Okay. And this could be on city pressure or on pump pressure. What you're going to do is you're always going to go to a hot side of a faucet, turn it on. You're going to get your spit and sputtering. When you get a nice flow of water, that means this tank is properly filled at that point. Now, inside, there's going to be a gauge that you're going to go into, and you're going to have where you can turn on the water pump, gas, and electric that's going to heat this water up for you.
Okay.
If you're on the LP, the correct color flame you're looking in here is a bluish green color flame. If it's a yellowish orange or maybe some black soot on the outside of the body, it's usually telling you got something built inside the burner tube here. What you're going to do is once a year, I tell everybody, regardless if it needs to be blown out or not, blow in through here, in through there, it's going to exhaust out through here, takes care of the problem for you as far as color change on the flame.
Blow into it? You talking about with your
Well, you'll do like if you're checking air pressure in tires, you can get yourself a blow gun, you can just blow it in through there.
right through here.
Right in through there.
And what am I trying to clear? What am I blowing
It
out?
might be cobwebs, it might be bugs, it might be something that might be, building a nest inside the tubing right there.
Okay, and how often would I have to change that anal rod?
You might do that depending on how much water you run through the system. I mean, I've seen these last up to 2 years, and then you can change them out. Some people, what they'll do is it starts eating away the water.
Right.
They might change them out yearly. And it's kind of your choice on what you want to do at that point.
And how would you know when it needs to be changed? Or you just checking it yourself?
Well, what you would do is when you're pulling this out, if you look in the center there's a rod in there, a little wire in there.
Okay.
Okay. And if you see it breaking down back here, it's usually time to change it out at that point.
Okay.
Okay. And just put it in place when you're going to be using it. Otherwise, leave it out when you're not going to be using it.
Okay.
You want to make sure that if you're not going to use the trailer up to 2 weeks, drain the water out of this tank. And how you're doing it is you're relieving the pressure first. When it comes down a little dribble, then you can pull that rod out of there.
Right.
And the rest of the water comes out of the tank at that point. Leave it off to the side. That way you can get air to go inside of it and dry the tank out at that point.
Okay.
If you leave it in there for a long period of time, you're going to create yourself an eggy smell, nasty taste. It's going to come out of this tank for you.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions on the hot water tank?
Yeah, what if you wanted to change this out and put yourself a tankless water heater and they usually make them so that they fit the same dynamics of
They're
these.
usually a different size. Yeah, they're
Okay.
usually a different size.
But if I wanted to do that, would I call you guys and see if you guys can install it, or would I look for?
Yeah, you did have to get some bunch of pricing and stuff like that and see what's all involved in it.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. Any questions on this side of the camera?
Not exactly at this time.
So what I have on the back side here is you have an entrance door to get into the bunk area.
Okay.
This will lift up, so if you got a bike or something you want to stick in there, you can.
Okay.
Okay. There'll be a little hook at the top of the ceiling there to actually hold everything up there for yourself. Okay. Ladder to get you up on the roof. Just be careful you don't slip and fall off of it. Like I said, you want to get up there every 3 months and check and seal it itself. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then the rubber on the roof itself, and even on the slide out, you want to seal coat that with an all-purpose sealer from front to back that seal coats the rubber. Okay. It's just mopping it on the roof from front to back. On the body, we always suggest that you wax them up yearly. Manufacturer has come up with a product for 5 years that way you don't have to put a coat on it. Okay, and it covers for the awning, splash guarding, and other protections all inside the camper itself.
All right.
center up there, you're gonna have a place for a backup camera. So if you decide you want to put a camera in place, that camera will work with the running lights on the camera.
All right.
So for that to work, you gotta make sure your headlights are on the running lights on the camper.
Okay.
Low point drain, you're gonna have a couple of valves that are hanging down there. One's gonna be hot and cold.
Okay. There they are.
That's just the low point drain for the water system of the camper itself. So if you wanted to get ready for winterizing the camper, you can open up these faucets, turn on all your faucets here. Gravity feed will pull most of the water out of the system, or antifreeze out of the system. Okay, it just makes the process go a little quicker for you.
Okay.
And then close off everything and just proceed to finish off whatever you're trying to do at that point.
All right.
This refrigerator here. It's like a dorm fridge, so whenever you start these up, start them at the coldest point, let them set for about 24 hours, and then make your adjustments on the refrigerator itself. Okay, as far as temperature wise. Otherwise, if you're not going to use it and you're going to close it up, it's not a bad idea to throw a towel in here so it doesn't close up completely. That way, you don't get a bunch of mildew and mold and stuff inside the refrigerator itself. Okay. And then you've got all your drawers that are in here. This, you can leave it in there if you want, but I suggest that you pull it off and put it in the sink when you're not going to be using it. Otherwise, chances are you're going to knock it and, have some issues with it later.
Okay.
Okay. Switches that are in here, you're going to have for main lights, or you can have a blue light effect in here. Okay. GFI, that's going to control plugs inside and outside of the camper. Okay. So if you find yourself not having power somewhere, just check these GFIs. Okay. And then places to hook up TV sets. Okay. Or whatever you want to plug in back here.
All right.
Okay. And it is GFI'd at that point too as well. Okay.
And when you saying GFI, you're saying
so you don't get electrical shock out of it.
Okay.
Protection. Okay. And then this switch over here is going to be for that blue light that you see underneath there. It's underneath your steps. Okay. And then this right here is going to be in the front storage compartment. I'll show you there's a tabletop that you can put a grill out here if you wanted to.
Right.
Underneath there's a plug-in that you can tap in on the trunk line of the LP. That we can actually fire up your grill at that point. Okay. Speakers off your stereo system, so you got one that's there and you got one that's a little farther down on the other side of the tire.
See it?
Okay. On your doors, you have what they call a stiff hinge for the door. That way you can keep it in one location for yourself. And then screen door just separating off the entrance door itself. Okay. Make sure the door is all the way. That way you can operate your steps properly for yourself. Otherwise, if you got it partially closed, you may not get the step to go up for yourself.
Okay.
When you set your steps, keep in mind that you want to be as flat as possible here. Okay. Otherwise, if it's up just a little bit, you're going to have an issue for the door to open and close for yourself. Okay, so you have to drop your steps down and get them nice and flat.
Right.
Okay. And then you got awning lights underneath your awning. Awning will bring it out. I'll show you how to tilt it one way or another for yourself. The awning will roll upside down, so I always suggest that you're rolling from underneath all the time. Okay. Low point drain. This is going to be for your freshwater tank as well. Okay.
Okay.
So the one that's in the far corner is going to be for more for like the hot water tank side.
Okay.
And then the other, this side here is going to be for your actual freshwater tank itself. There's a white valve underneath there.
Okay.
It's a pull valve, I believe. That one right there. Okay.
Okay.
Big 1.5 inch pipe there.
Okay, I see it.
It's a quick dump on it. Okay. And then in this area right here is going to be your fridge. Now, on the refrigerator, you gotta remember that the refrigerator is a battery option. Okay, so there's no LP, no 110 to it. So there's really nothing you're gonna actually do on the back side of this, okay? I would just open it up once in a while, just kind of blow it off because you're liable to find wasp nests, all kinds of stuff that build up back in here. Okay, so just kind of watch yourself in through it because it does have holes in the back side here. Okay,
Yeah.
you can do screens on these if you want.
Okay.
You just snap the screens up underneath. Of course, you do wire ties to hold them in place.
Okay.
Okay, that way to protect a lot of your bigger objects from getting in there. Then, okay. Key, coin, screwdriver, whatever is easier to actually open these up. Okay. It's not like you'll get in it daily. It's just something that you want to check periodically. Okay.
Okay, quick question. If this isn't really required because it's just a piece of block wood
Well, it does
underneath
help ventilation as far as the refrigerator.
Okay, so
Okay.
it has a purpose,
Yeah,
obviously.
it does. It's got a little bit of ventilation.
Got you.
Okay. And then you got your furnace that's in this area. You can put screens over top of these, that way you don't get wasps and stuff like that to build nests inside the tubings here. If you get yourself a long neck blow gun, like what we were talking about on the other side, you can just jam it inside there and twist it around. You're not going to hurt anything, okay? You want to basically try to get in there a little bit so you can blow anything out of it, okay? This is just exhaust for the furnace,
All right.
okay? That's going to be GFI, so you might have where there's no power and you're checking that GFI in the back there, okay? So it's just a matter of just plugging in whatever you want out here for yourself, okay? You got a stovetop vent. And all you're doing is you're just hitting the two buttons at the bottom, pushing up and outwards. You can open up the inner vent. Okay. And then this area here is going to be where your spare tires tucked up underneath that. This crank handle that's right here is going to get that spare tire down for yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
And I guess by turning this thing in, it lowers it.
Yep, it's
somewhere.
like a cable. Yeah.
Okay.
Drops it down to the ground.
Okay.
And then you got your tabletop that's over here. That's going to be for the grill on the back side there. If you ever want to hook it up or set it up for yourself. And then this is another motion light. Like I said, you can flip it one way, or you can actually set it up one way or another for yourself.
Okay.
This is the disconnect on the battery.
Okay.
If you're not going to use it, what you want to do is you want to flip it off. That's going to turn off all the power supply inside the camper. Okay. If you're not going to be using it for a long period of time.
Okay.
Okay. If you're just going from one weekend to the other, you might leave it on. Okay. You got to remember that if you plug in on 110, it overrides a lot of things, and you're going to have power in here. They're thinking you got running off battery, and you're not. With this in the on position, what you're doing is you're throwing a charge into the battery. If this is off, you're not doing anything with your battery at this point.
You're not recharging your
You're
battery.
not doing anything. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
And then you got an air chuck here. That's going to be to chuck tires pressures.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to step back and we're going to talk about the tires. Okay. Keep in mind that tire pressure, you do want to check them quite a bit. It's not like having at least 10 to 12 pounds of tires sometimes. So you want to make sure that you're checking them. These are set to 80 pounds of tire pressure. At the same time, you want to do a maintenance on these. And what's going to happen is every year you have the bearings repack and brake adjustments. Okay? Regardless of how many miles you throw into it, it's every year process for them.
Okay.
Okay?
And that involves me bringing it up here, obviously, and
Yeah,
getting
any
it.
place that knows how to repack bearings, we gotta remember that it's got a magnet that actually controls the brakes. Okay,
A magnet.
Yeah, there's a magnet that operates it.
Okay.
Okay, and they gotta know how to operate. They gotta know how to check the magnet too as well.
Okay.
Any questions on anything?
I see this box, this junction box right there.
It's for all your electrical in the front and everything.
So is that controlling the output? I mean, what is this purpose right there? Is that so that you can hook an inverter up to it?
Well, a lot of these are set up so if you are... See, these are designed for generators and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay, so that box is mainly for like power supply for the generators and stuff. If you were gonna take one step farther for yourself.
Okay.
So, okay.
All right.
And then this cover will go over the top of the bottles. That way, all you have to do is just open up the top of it and control everything from the top here if you wanted to.
All right.
You can bungee cord this down. I believe there's a bungee cord in here. That I've seen on here. This one probably doesn't require it because of the bigger tanks. Okay.
Right.
So
You would need to bungee it down.
if you wanted to, you could put it if you wanted to. And on the bottom of these covers, there's eyelets at the bottom.
Okay. That hook obviously hooked in.
Underneath the pan itself.
Okay.
Yeah, go underneath this pan here, one from one side to the other. Okay. Any questions on anything?
Not at this moment. Not from what you covered thus far.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do is we'll get the awning out. Let's go ahead and step up to the side there.
All right.
All right. Like electronics?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Okay. So this first button is going to be like a home page for everything.
Okay.
So whatever you're trying to go into, you're just basically going through different pages here. Okay. When it comes to doing slide outs or awnings, you're going to go into this one.
Okay.
To operate it, you're basically taking this, you're bringing your slide out in, or bringing it out.
Okay.
You're gonna hear a ratcheting noise that's gonna let you know you're completely out. And you also hear that noise when it's completely in.
Okay.
Okay, this is gonna let you know you're putting full pressure to the outer gasket there.
Okay.
When it comes to do the awning, you're gonna do your select. And that's gonna get you up into your awning itself. You're doing the same thing with these buttons here. You're gonna run these in and out. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and hit this button.
Okay.
We'll see how far I can get this out, otherwise I can bring this in. Keep going, no more. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, a little bit. Hit that.
Okay.
That's pretty much all the way out.
Okay.
Okay, but like I said, if you're holding into the button, you'll see this roll upside down and back to the camper for yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so this is your stopping point. For the awning, if you want to tilt it one way or another, you just grab this arm right here and pulling it down.
Okay.
Then when it's a light rain, all the water runs to the lowest point for yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
High winds, big storms, always get the awning rolled in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have awning legs that are underneath your camper or underneath your awning itself.
Okay. Now I'm assuming that side you could do the same thing.
Yep.
You just
So if you got the sun beating in here and you want to block it out a little bit, grab this arm right here and pull it down.
gotcha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the nice thing about the awning is you don't have to straighten the arms back out again. When you roll it up, the arms are going to straighten out by themselves. You just reapply the bend and you get ready to set the awning back up again.
Okay. And when you say reapply the bend, what do you mean?
The bar that is bent downwards.
Just move it back up.
Nope, you don't have to move it back up. You can if you want. You can do this if you wanted to, but the arm will do that by itself and it rolls back up again.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want, go ahead and step inside there and you can roll the awning back in.
All right.
see the arm actually straightening out at that point.
Was that what I heard?
Yeah.
The arm straightening back itself?
Yep.
How would you know when this is completely rolled?
Just like that.
Okay, you hear it?
Kind of flunks up against the camper.
Okay, so in terms of using this J command, if you don't have power, you wouldn't be able to operate
Correct.
these
You
things.
either have to be plugged in or you have to have a battery hooked up.
To operate so far the slide or
Well,
the
anything in the camper.
anything. So there's nothing mechanical
No.
that would operate that.
If you wanted to, I mean, physically you could go underneath the slide and there's an access panel in the underbelly.
Okay.
And just keep in mind that your slide out's on that side of the camper.
Okay.
The motor is going to be on this side of the camper.
Okay.
So if you were to get up underneath there and you see an access panel that had a bunch of screws in it, pull it down and you'll get right to this motor that they will ratchet it in for yourself. And
Okay.
you just physically just take a ratchet and you ratchet your slide out in and out for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Now, back to your control panel. Keep in mind that you might want to down this app into your phone
Absolutely.
because from time to time you may have to update the system.
Absolutely.
Okay, and at the same time you may have to update the jack system. So if you find yourself and you're hitting the buttons on the front jack and you're not getting things to work, you may have to come in here, set it up, and go through your J command setup here. That way you can actually update your system.
So the J command is hooked up to the jack. I mean, to the leveling system too. I mean,
Yep, it's through everything. So everything
Okay.
that's in here is in your phone.
okay.
Okay, so now we'll go back into the pages here. So if I go into this, this is going to be for air conditioning, heat. You can set your own temperatures. So it's just a matter of just going to the selector, set your temperatures for yourself. You want to change your furnace to air conditioning. It's just a matter of just going to your setups in here. Okay. You have auto, and auto means that it's set like a central air system. So whatever temperature you had set for yourself, cycles on and off for yourself.
Okay.
Where if you have it in a cool position, fan runs constantly, but the compressor kicks in and out by the temperature you had set up here.
Okay.
Okay, so it runs two different ways for yourself. Keep in mind that you have fan speeds here, and this is just for the air conditioning,
Just for the air conditioning.
nothing for furnace. Furnace has only got one speed.
Okay.
Okay, so don't be trying to set your high and low for a furnace because it's not there for yourself.
Gotcha.
Okay, now what we'll do is basically go into this, and we don't need air conditioning. You fine with me shutting it off? You want me to leave it on?
No, I'm fine with you shutting it off.
Okay, alright. Alright, so the next thing I'll do is I'll go into this and oops, back into that. So this just gives you, as far as your Fahrenheit, you can set it for if you want to go into Celsius or however you want to set it yourself up into. This is going to be where you pair your phone into.
Okay.
Okay, so when you bring this up, it's going to come up with two devices here. It's going to come with the small one, and it's going to come up with a larger iPad setup. What you're looking for is this one right here. Once you go into this, it's going to be telling you to push OK, so you can basically pair it in your phone at that point.
Okay.
And it's going to take you step by step as far as if it needs updates or anything like that. It's going to walk you through everything.
Okay.
Okay, pretty simple system for yourself.
And
okay?
this operates off your RV battery.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all 12 volt current.
So if you're not hooked up to shore power and you do have that battery disconnect off, that'll be off.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then at the same time, it's going to show you your freshwater tank as far as levels in it, grays, your blacks. Okay. So it's going to see where there's highlights in the lines. Okay, and it's going to let you know you got something in the tank at that point. It's time to dump your tanks off. What I do is I tell everybody, whenever you leave a campground or wherever you're parked at, dump your tanks off. You got to remember, 8 pounds per gallon that's in each tank. That's added weight to your camper for yourself. There may be some times where you may travel with a freshwater tank that's full. Okay, depending on where you're going in certain situations for yourself.
That's going to affect your trailering.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Well, it really doesn't affect it too much. A lot of times, a little bit of weight in a trailer actually travels nicer.
Really?
Yes.
I never heard that.
Yep. Yep. You're putting a little bit more, so it's actually kind of seating itself into the tires for yourself then.
Okay, because it's lower gravity weight.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of
I mean,
helping the.
yeah, you got to remember, depending on your freshwater tank size, like my trailer, it was about 80 gallons of water that I held in my trailer. Well, you figure it's probably a little over 500 pounds that you're adding into your camper for yourself. Some tanks might only have 30 gallons of tank, So your paperwork will state the size tanks that you have in your trailer for yourself. Okay? So what you have in here is your pump. Okay, so if you want to turn on your water pump, you're just using these two buttons here to turn it on if you're highlighted in these areas. If you want to go into the select as far as going to your electric to heat up the water, or if you want to do your gas to heat up the water on the hot water tank, you just turn them on and off at that point. Okay, I can do the LP for you. So if I was wanting to turn this on, and I won't let it run for a long period of time because there's no water in the tank for myself. But I'll just give you an idea what you're listening for. So when I turn this on, you'll basically have it on, and you'll hear some clicking noises, and then you'll actually hear it roaring out there. That's what you listen for.
Okay.
Okay. And when I shut it off, I'm just hitting the bottom button, and I turn it back off again.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on any of this? It's pretty simple. Lighting that's down below. You have the main lights in the ceiling. Let's say you want to dim them out. Okay, you just hold the button, and you can actually dim your lights out for yourself.
Okay.
Hit it again, you can bring them back up to a brighter light. Okay. If you want to shut them off, just hit the button.
Okay.
Same thing on this one. It's the same way. You want to dim this one out too as well, you just hold the button.
Okay, and that controls this main door light.
Yep.
Okay.
And then this last switch is going to be for the awning lights outside. You can turn them on and off from this point.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Fire extinguisher. Hopefully you never have to use it. If you do, it's something you have to replace for yourself.
Okay.
When it comes to lighting over here, it's just a matter of just hitting the button, turning them on and off for yourself. Same thing that's up top here. Okay. USB port, so if you want cell phones plugged in or whatever you got here for yourself, you got upper and lower here for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. The bathroom, you want to step inside there?
Sure.
So the bathroom, you got to remember that you got a bunch of switches in here. That's going to be for lighting of the ceiling. Lights around the mirror. You got a blue light that's in the bathroom area.
Okay. See it.
And then this last switch is going to be for the exhaust fan. The way the exhaust fan works is you can either blow across the roof, or if you want to circulate air inside here, you flip it around and you can circulate air inside here.
Okay, that closes the roof cover.
Yes.
And so the air is essentially coming in and coming back out?
Yes.
Okay.
And then this is just an on and off. Instead of using the switch here, you can just turn on and off right there.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Porcelain toilet. Keep in mind that you want to winterize this. Okay. So what you're doing is when you winterize the system, the pink stuff that you see is the antifreeze that's in the system right now. Okay, and I got it run through the whole camper itself.
So you're saying it's already winterized?
It's already winterized, yes.
Okay.
So, when you are using your toilet, by taking this valve here and holding it halfway without opening up that lever down there,
okay,
or that little cover down there, what you're doing is you're putting water into the toilet. When you want to flush it, just push it down to the floor and you can flush your toilet at that point. Okay. there's a blue chemical that you're going to put in there. It's either going to be a liquid form or tablet form.
Okay.
If you do the liquid form, I just tell everybody about an inch away from where the holes are in the toilet. Which is right here. So if you're about an inch away from the holes and you brought the water level up to that point, you got yourself a gallon of water for yourself. Okay. So if you do that first, what you want to do is throw a tablet into it. Let it dissolve. Hit the pedal to the floor, drop in the tank down below. Give yourself another bowl on top of it. If you do the liquid form, you open up an 8-ounce bottle, pour it in there. Do that first.
Okay.
And then take the pedal, push it to the floor, and then take the pedal, hold it halfway, get yourself a bowl of water, which is a gallon. And then when you get it to that point, hit it to the floor again, and it rinses out the toilet as well. Whenever you go outside and dump your black tank, you gotta remember, you're gonna replenish that back again.
Right.
Okay? So you're just basically doing the liquid or tablet at that point.
Okay.
Don't mix them. Once you find the one you like, stay with it at that point.
Okay.
Okay. Your shades. The spring here will go in the center. Okay. Depending where you want to put this at, doesn't matter. If you want to put it down here, you can. Okay.
Okay.
And you pull the shade. Try not to go past the wood. Because if you go too far, you're going to spring the spring in the roll here.
Okay.
When you get ready to roll it out, just give it a little tug and it goes back up again.
Okay.
Windows, just matter pulling a lever, sliding the window over for ventilation. When you close it, make sure you got it in the slot again so you can lock it back in. Because otherwise you'll find where this is probably not in all the way. Okay? So make sure that this is in. That way you can actually check the window and see if it's locked.
Okay.
Okay? You've got another GFI that's in here. So you'll probably find half of a trailer that works on GFI and the other half to work on the other half. Okay?
What's the other half?
Well, you could have them out there that might be on this side of the camper. You might have that might be on that side of the camper. Okay? So it's just for electrical shock. That's all it is. So you don't get shocked out of something. A lot of times your outlets by the sink will be GFI'd as well.
When you're saying GFI, I don't understand what that means.
It cuts power supply to the outlet so you don't get shocked out of it.
Okay, so it's sort of like a fuse circuit, that only puts a certain amount of juice.
It's like a breaker.
A breaker. Okay.
Yeah, just like a breaker.
I'm a dummy.
No, you're not.
I mean, I like to look at things like that.
Yeah, you're fine. So. All right. Any questions in the bathroom?
You said okay. No, I really don't have any questions. I mean, I have my personal things that I'm gonna put which doesn't really relate to this, but I'm gonna put I'm gonna put a toilet here that I can change out myself so that I don't mess up the black tank. I don't want to put nothing in the black tank. So I'm gonna use a portable toilet.
Nah. Use what you got there.
I mean,
There's no reason for that.
I just don't want to mess around with poo-poo.
It's just a matter of pulling the valve. Put a hose to it.
It's a dirty job.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to point out to you is you'll probably find it in a couple other places here. This is a sensor for your air conditioning and heat. Okay, you probably find one in your bedroom. You might want to find one on the outside of the body of the camper. It's just giving you temperatures for different places.
Okay.
Chairs. You have the recliners. You have the little lever there that you can actually pull the bottom part of it out. Okay. And just kick it in with your feet when you're done with it.
Okay.
Table. You can pull this down. You can lay it right on the little pads here. That way you can make a bedding area out of this area if you wanted to. There's storage all the way around the seating. Okay. This switch that's right here is going to be for the lights over here. And then this light over here to turn on, off at the same time. You can actually dim the light out as well.
By holding that down.
And then hit it again, and you can actually brighten it back up again.
Okay, so that switch is just for those two lights.
Yep.
And that switch is just for these two lights.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Black box you see over there with the green light, that's your LP/carbon monoxide detector. So if this ever goes off, the first thing you want to do is you want to go outside and turn off the LP. You want to air out the unit and see if it shuts off at that point. If it doesn't shut off, my next step is to check battery power on the camper itself.
Okay, and this is for LP.
Yes, but
So-
it's for anything that's carbon monoxide, stuff like that, that's going to detect it as well.
And I'm just saying that because the only place that could possibly come from is this area.
Yep.
I'm just, okay.
Okay. Alright, all these lights are separate in here.
Okay.
All these lights are separate in here. So what you're doing is you turn them on and off. Switches that are right in the center. Okay. And then you also got a light that's over here as well. You also got an exhaust fan. Okay.
It's a lot of lights.
Microwave. Oh yeah, yeah. This is a well lit unit here. So microwave, of course, nothing different. It's just like the one at home for yourself. Okay, it'd be plugged in at 110 for yourself. Okay.
All right.
Cover. You're gonna flip this out of the way when you get ready to cook on it. And then all you're doing is you're just basically going to your arrows here, and then click this and get a flame going. Now, the next thing you're going to do is if you want a smaller flame, you're just going to a smaller dot for yourself. And then to raise it up to shut it off, you go past the high to shut it off at that point. If you want to light these knobs up, just a matter of flipping the button up. Keep in mind that whenever you turn this on, you're going to see where it turns red. That way you can actually fire up the knob. Okay? And when you shut it off, it turns off again. When it comes to the oven, if you want an oven light, flip the switch downwards and you get yourself an oven light in here. Otherwise, when you get ready to light it up, same thing, arrow to arrow, press in on it. That's your gas valve. By clicking this, you're going to get a flame down below. So if you look back, you'll see where there's a spark that's happening. Let me know when you got a flame down there.
That's a flame.
Okay. Now I'm holding into the knob for a couple seconds.
Okay.
What I do is I'm going to wait. Let go of it. Is it still on?
Yes, still on.
Go ahead and turn the temperature, and you'll see the center tubing light up at that point.
Okay.
Okay. And then shut
Which
it
I
off.
would never use. I'm not a cooker. But, okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of pizzas. There you go. Alright. Refrigerator. Keep in mind that the refrigerator is just a 12 volt current. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically set this up to the highest point.
Okay.
For 12 hours. And then make your adjustments on the refrigerator itself. Okay. And a lot of times refrigerators, they always start at the top here. That's going to basically get everything going for yourself, and then everything all generates to the bottom here for yourself. Okay,
Alright.
so that's how the refrigerators are all designed. Okay.
So heat the freezer first and then generate down.
Well, it cools it down.
Okay.
You know, because you got to remember you're freezing everything up here, but it's starting to cool everything down below at that point. Okay.
Do you, well, I guess I can always look it up. I was just curious on how much power these draw off, because they're 12 volts. So I'm wondering how much juice they actually draw per hour. But I guess that would depend on how hard how tuned you got it in terms of cold temperature. And
Well, you're always going to crank it up to the highest, coldest temperature for 12 hours, and then make your adjustments at that point.
okay.
Because you gotta remember, you're trying to get this up to cold first, and then everything transfers down to the bottom here. That's why you give it a 12-hour period, and then you can go ahead and pack all your stuff up into it at that point.
All right.
Some people will choose to put 2 batteries up front.
Right.
Okay, because you got to remember, you got lighting, furnaces, everything is working off battery for yourself. Okay, down below is going to be your converter, breakers and flat automotive fuses down there. Carry extra fuses. If you see, there's a majority of 15 amps. Okay, and then you got some 20s that are next to it in yellow.
Right.
Okay, so if you find yourself, or 25s, I should say. What you want to do is you want to carry extras because it's not uncommon to pop a fuse once in a while. And everything on the door right there that you see is going to be all labeled for your breakers and flat automotive fuses.
All right.
For 110 and 12 volt current. Then you got your fireplace. All your controls. This one here is going to be for the fireplace. You turn it on, you're going to get yourself a, you can do it as a light display, or if you want to crank out some heat, you got to remember, you got to be plugged in 110 for it though.
Okay.
Okay, doesn't work off battery. And if you use the flame that's right here, you can get yourself different colors out of it. Okay,
Nice.
all the different setups that you want to do for yourself. Okay, and then shut it off at that point.
All right.
Okay. This one here is going to be for your stereo. That's going to turn that radio on and off for yourself. There you go. Hit the button too soon.
You know, you gotta do it with the child's knowledge, she says. Those could be baby steps to make the food more approachable.
Okay,
I'm
nice.
more miles with this way to work smarter, not harder on a picky eater
And
problem.
you do have
You can find it
a
at
control in here that's going to be
www.institute.com.
for inside and outside speakers.
Okay.
That way, if you want to place your sound outside, you just hit the buttons on this at this point. That's your 1 and 2 buttons that you see right there.
All right.
Okay. TV set. Now, keep in mind that a TV set, you have selections as far as cable.
Okay.
Okay, so what you do is you go into the menu. And if you scroll it over, this is where you would actually search for channels on TV sets. Or if you want to select it to a cable or satellite setup, you're just hitting the up and down for different setups here for yourself.
Now, in terms of antenna, what comes standard in this unit?
Well,
Does it come
whatever is available out there, depends on where you're at. I mean, you might get 30 channels here, and then maybe 200 miles away, you might only get 1 or 2 channels.
depending on where you at?
You're right, yes.
You in-
So you're always going to do a search on a TV set all the time
Okay.
to see what's available out there. A lot of people will go to satellite, and they'll just put a receiver in here, and then they'll just use point the satellite dish out into the sky and pick up the channels that way for yourself.
Right.
Okay, so whatever you find is going to be located here. It's all digital. We don't have analog no more. Okay, so you might find all your channels in this location right here for yourself. Okay, but you're not going to pick up anything in the garage. I'd be really surprised if we did pick up a channel.
Because the signal strength ain't that
Yes,
good.
yes, correct. And there's a power source that's inside this cabinet that I'll show you that you can turn it on and off if you're not going to be in use. Okay?
Okay.
Because otherwise it's just another item that draws off the battery too as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So when you get
So
ready,
you're saying if the TV is not in use, but that cord is hooked up, it possibly can draw power.
well, yeah, because you've got 12 volt current that's going to an antenna that's trying to look for something for you.
Okay.
Okay. So what you want to do is when you open this up, you just pull the TV, and you do have some bungees that will hold the TV inside the cabinet. There is a screw here that's going to be for this bungee cord here. It actually holds the cabinet together, which is right here.
Right.
So all you're doing is you're going through this hole and going into that screw
Got it.
to hold this closed.
Got it.
Okay, so inside this cabinet, that light, you gotta make sure you're turning it off. Otherwise, it's constantly burning.
It's not automatic shut off.
No, No.
Okay.
So if you look right here, you'll see a little green light. That's basically the power supply for the antenna.
Okay.
Okay. So all you're doing at this point is you're going to hit this button right here, and you can turn it off.
And that turns off the antenna.
Yes. This up here is if you want to hook up satellite.
Got it.
You put a cable into it, go inside the cabinet we're going to hook your box up into, and basically set yourself up that point. Okay?
All right.
Otherwise, the cord that's down there, that's for the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And like, nice little pantry here for yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick my arm in here to give a reference point of how deep this is. And this, well, let's just say 1.5 feet. All right.
Just don't forget you got a pantry there.
Don't forget.
Yeah. So otherwise, it's hard to forget it. You'd be like, where'd my cabinet go?
Yeah, hopefully.
You gotta remember, you do this. Actually, it is a motion light. So you have to figure out which way the light goes on and off for yourself. Okay?
Hopefully I get a missus that'll put something in that. Otherwise, it'll be nothing but dirty socks for myself.
Dirty socks.
And underwear.
Oh boy.
No, I'm just joking.
So all you're doing is you're just fishing the cord through. And hooking it up. And then close it.
Okay.
Okay?
In transit to keep.
Correct. And then all you're doing at this point is you're just taking this, flipping this around, take the TV, lock it in.
Okay.
Okay? And this will hold the TV in place during travel too as well.
All right.
Okay? The other things that you have in here is if you decide you want to put a second battery in there, they do give you jump cables.
Okay.
So what you're going to do is this would be for positive sides.
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're hooking up positive, and then you're going to hook your negatives up, which is negative.
All right.
The two leads that are on the battery at this point, you're going to separate them. The positive lead is going to be on that first battery. The negative lead is going to be on the second battery. That way you use both batteries at the same time.
All right.
If you just leave the two cables on one battery, you're using that front battery as basically the main supply, and then the second battery put in is your like a support for the first battery, but you don't want to work that way.
Absolutely.
You are going to have, if you remember, I talked about putting another solar panel down by the water compartment. This would be the pigtails for your solar panel if you decide to hook up into it.
Okay.
This is that clear line that I was telling you about for country fill or winterizing.
All right.
Okay, so this is what the tubing's for. This battery here is going to be for your smoke detector that's on the ceiling up there.
All right.
Okay. On your tires, you have where you can check air pressure in tires.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that out of your phone for yourself. If you ever decide to take them off the tires, look at this right here, and we'll show you front of the trailer. So the way we have it set up right now is you're standing into the back of the camper, I'm standing in the front of the camper.
Okay.
When you take them gauges off the tires, put them in the right locations.
All right.
Okay? That side's for this side. This side's for this side. That way when you put them back on, you know that they're set for each tire for yourself.
Yeah. All right. So the only purpose of that is to make sure that you're putting on the right
Sensor for each tire.
Okay.
Okay? And then this is just like a little wrench to lock the nuts behind the gauges themselves.
All right.
Okay? Any questions on any of this stuff here?
Wouldn't it be just a lot easier to, if you had the money to just buy you a tire temperature beam that you could just beam on a tire and it tells you?
Well, that will show you the same thing.
Oh,
On
that's right.
your gauge, it will tell you the temperature of your tire too as well.
Okay. And what type of mechanics is sensing the tire? Is it electric or is it what type of mechanical device is used to sense and send that information to your phone?
Well, it's in that little head that you got on the
On the wheel itself.
wheel itself. Yes.
Okay. So it's not using electricity?
No. No.
Okay.
No. No.
This is a stupid question. But when you hear 75-pound door glides, does that mean if I have, because I work out, does that mean if I had a 75-pound weight, I could set it right there and it will hold 75 pounds?
That's for the pulling of it. Yeah.
Oh, so the pulling power is 75.
Yeah. Well, it's no, it's not actually listed that way.
Don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, you don't put 75 pounds of nothing in there, you'll blow out the bottom.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, when it comes to like people who do iron skillets and stuff like that, I suggest that you find a cabinet that's going to be sitting on the floor. Don't put them in a cabinet because you're going to blow out the bottom of a drawer.
Right. They don't tell you that on YouTube. Okay.
No. They don't hold a ton of weight, but they do hold a little bit of weight. You know, so you just got to watch what you do on them. So.
Okay.
This is the adapter. This is your second adapter. Your first one's outside. This is your second one. This will reduce it down to a 30 to a 15 that you can plug around household socket.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, if you're at a campground and they only have a 30 amp service, put your adapter on out there. If you have a campground that has 50 amp, put it in a 50 amp.
Okay, why would I need 50 amps? I mean, I know if I had two air conditioners, I would need 50
Well,
amps.
if you want to run your air conditioning in the microwave
At the same time. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you will trip breakers and stuff like that.
Very well. While we on the subject of that, 15 amps, what would that run? If I'll just plug
Well, you
this
can
in
run
somewhere?
everything. You just can't run them all at the same time.
What will happen if you was running something and you tried to use the microwave on 15 amps? It just wouldn't turn on.
It'll come on. It'll come on.
It would.
Yes. But the only thing you got to remember is when you're running on this and you run your air conditioning, you may find where if you are, let's say that you go visit family or something and you want to plug into the garage outlet out in the garage out there. Right. And they have a freezer out there in the refrigerator, in the garage there. And you decide you want to run your air conditioning.
Okay.
You got both compressors that kick on at the same time. What's going to happen is you'll probably trip the breaker.
In the house.
Yes.
It's too much electricity.
Yes. So, the one thing that you got to watch is if you're trying to run multiple things on this, air conditioning, microwave, maybe a coffee pot, maybe your future wife or girlfriend or you know, whoever in the bathroom and using a blow dryer, you're drawing current, you know, you're going to find where this will melt down.
That'll melt because of the heat?
Too much current drawn through it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of these that you'll see on the service counter out there in parts. We'll go look at one of them and see what it looks like. You'll see where they're, you know, these are all melted and stuff like that because they try to draw too much current through them.
Okay.
So,
is there a limit?
You just gotta, what I do is I tell everybody, if you're running air conditioning, run it for about 5 or 10 minutes and then come over here and feel the plug. If it's warm to the touch, shut it down at that point.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You don't want to overheat this because you're going to create a nice little fire for yourself.
Got it.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that.
These 2 pins that I got right here are going to be for a hitch up. This is going to lock it on the ball, and this is going to be for that breakaway cable.
All right.
Okay. Are you taking this today?
No.
Okay. I didn't think you were. Somebody said something about you weren't. You was staying here for a while. So, catalog. That's going to be for all kinds of parts or whatever you're looking for in here.
And these are sent directly to your house.
Yeah, it's just like let your fingers do the walking.
Okay. Who's the manufacturer? Is it Jayco, or is it multiple different manufacturers?
Multiple things. It's
Okay.
you know, whatever you're looking for in here. You know, it's through Rick's. I mean, you can get all your parts through Rick's and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah, yep. Same thing, you know, stuff. You may not be some stuff that may be in the store that you can probably go through the catalog and, you know, get us that direction. And then this sewer hose. Of course, you'll get other fittings to finish off the sewer system. But this part will actually screw to the camper itself. Sometimes you might want to go one step farther and put a clear section of tubing in here before you hook the hose on. That way, if you are flushing out your black tank, you can see what's still chucking out of the tank for yourself. And that would determine if you need to let the water run a little longer to flush out the tank. Okay. And then just take it back off and put it in your compartment that you'd have you know, put all your sewer stuff into. Okay.
Right. You would get that clear thing from parts?
Yeah, I'll
Before
show
you-
it to you inside.
Okay.
So I'll throw that up in here. And then you got your bag of information for the camper itself, which is all right here for yourself. Okay, you got all kinds of literature that's in here that's going to cover stuff on the camper itself.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on anything?
Well, so far everything you covered, I've recorded, so I can always, if I didn't catch anything, I can always just go back and rewind what you rewinded the tape. I think you've been clear on everything thus far.
Well, I got a couple more other things to talk about. So these two items right here are the return air for the air conditioner.
Okay, the return there.
Yes. So what you want to do is you're gonna pop these grills off and you're gonna find a filter right there. Soapy water, pat it dry, throw them back in place again. Okay. I think these are like a screen, so just wash the screen off and then put it back in place again. Okay. These are to produce the cold air out of it. Okay, fan controls, air conditioning, whatever is going to run through it. Your heat is going to come out of the floor.
Okay.
That way you were pointing to earlier is going to be for a Wi-Fi. So if you want to put a Wi-Fi booster on it, you can hook it up. And then if you're at the campgrounds and you're too far away from the bathroom houses or offices or something like that, you can basically have a booster there for yourself.
Okay.
All right. The bedroom area, what you're going to find is you're going to have a main switch. That's going to be for these two lights in the ceiling. And then the little probe that you see on top, that's going to be like the one in the kitchen area. Okay, for sensing.
This right here?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, of course, these switches over here are going to be for lighting of the bedding over the top of your bed. And then the bed you can lift up. You lift up the board and everything. And that's going to be some storage underneath it.
Okay. Got it. Now, if I wanted to put my own mattress, that would be a little bit, even though I see that this is a Serta type of mattress, but if I wanted to put my own mattress,
Queen size mattresses on a camper, they're just a little shorter than a home mattress.
okay. Now, I see here it says right there, warning, air conditioning circuit, disconnection. Where would you put if I wanted to upgrade on the second AC? How would they get through it with the wall that's totally covered right here?
There's a frame out underneath the paneling.
How would you know where the frame out is? Is that
Well,
for...
a lot of times we pull the box, the electrical down, and we can actually see where our frame is.
From looking on the ceiling.
And then what we do is we measure out a hole, and then we make some imprints on the outside of it, on the roof, and then we cut holes up there, and then we'd have an air conditioning system.
Okay. Being up north, we don't get that much heat, but okay, got you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Then there's escape window that's right here. When you straighten out the arm and push it out, you can go up to the red portion of the handle, connect it out here. You can use it for ventilation, or if you need to get out of the camper, you can as well by just popping the screen off.
Okay.
That grill over there is going to be the return air from the furnace. There's no filters in there. That's just keeping the unit cool so it don't overheat itself.
There's no air filter.
No filters in there. No.
Okay. Alrighty. Let me see. Have I thought of everything that's needed? Is this slide? This is I know you have to have it all the way out to use it.
Well, not really. I mean, there's enough room. The only downfall is you can't get to the front bedroom.
Right. They made it.
Yeah.
So they made it so because a lot of people like myself only wanted one door, and the reason why I prefer one door in this unit is because of the the insulation value. Because obviously 2 doors is less insulated than just one door, because air eventually over time does find a way, and so by not having that entrance, you kind of insulate the camper in a sense. But it's a personal thing, preference. Okay, very well.
All right, you got 2 keys here.
Okay.
One key is going to operate storage compartments, entrance doors. On your entrance door, you have a deadbolt, so it's going to operate that one as well. Okay, so you got 2 sets.
Would I get that when I come back?
Nope, you're going to take these today.
Okay.
You're gonna take them today.
And this is to the
I
entrance
got
door?
plenty of keys to come into a camper.
Okay.
So, and that's just for service work. That's all it is for. Okay.
Very well.
Alright, so paperwork that I have here. We're going to talk about warranties and stuff like that on campers. Keep in mind that Jayco products have a 2-year warranty. Starcrafts only have 1-year warranty.
Do I need to record this?
If you want. It's up to
Okay.
you. So I suggest that you may want to think about doing a extended service contract for 5 years. That way, if you're out traveling somewhere and you have an air conditioner, a microwave, a refrigerator, or something goes bad on you, or needs to be reset, or whatever needs to be done, keep in mind that the service contract will actually kick in and there's deductibles on things. Okay, they're transferable, so you don't lose out. So if you decide you want to transfer to a different camper or something, you just take the service contract with you. Okay, and transfer it to the other one. Okay. So this paperwork that I have here is actually a checklist of everything that we do on campers, inside and outside.
Okay.
That goes in the bill of sale for yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
And does the bank get that? Well, does the bank get that, or do I keep that?
This is going to bill of sale at the in the office up front.
So who keeps that?
The office does.
Office. Okay.
The second sheet is a cleanup as far as inside and outside of a camper.
It's just saying that.
Yep, what we did as far as cleanings. Okay. And right now you got it on your phone. Okay. So technically you have a copy too as well. Okay.
Right. Right.
And then this last sheet here is actually a checklist that I'm going to have you sign off on, because we need a copy to go in the bill of sale. And from here to here is actually everything that we talked about on the camper itself. Okay. The stuff here is all the extra stuff that I showed you. We just ask you to date and signature at the bottom here for yourself.
Okay.
Okay? And like I said, you'll get a copy of this paper here.
I have it on my phone, but okay.
Yeah. So go ahead and sign off on this here. Right at the bottom here. If you want to check them off, you can as well. Okay.
Now, I would like for you to go over check torque or lug nuts.
So you're gonna, if you want to, what you can do is you can write this stuff down if you want. Torque's gonna be set for 120 per lug.
120 per.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. As far as tank cleanouts, if you're draining your tanks, sometimes you might want to rinse them out, off and on. Okay, that's the holding tanks. You have your treatments on the toilet, which we talked about. Flushing and cleaning, that's what we were talking about on toilets and stuff like that. When it comes to appliances, you're just basically blowing them out, making sure everything's working properly for you at that point.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, as far as sealants, you're going to do that every 90 days, every 3 months. So what you're doing is you're looking for bubbling and cracking, like what we were talking about. On the body, if you want to write this down, right next to where it says body sealant, put Dicor, D-Y-C-O-R-E.
D-I-C?
D-Y-C-O-R-E.
Okay.
And then, as far as the roof, or, I'm sorry, that should have been quad seal, I'm sorry. That should be this here. Let me write this out. Quad seal. Q-U-A-D. Roof is Dicor. Okay. So them are the two main sealants that we use on the camper.
Got it.
Okay. AC maintenance, you won't have to do any of that because that's a sealed unit that's on the roof itself. Okay. The only thing you really have to do is just the air cleaners.
Okay.
Okay. And then brake adjustments is going to be every 12 months. Okay. So it's an every year process that you're doing as far as brake adjustments.
Well, I bring it here.
Packs. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And then slide outs. You may spray the rubber gaskets up with a silicone spray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one you can do. And then the lubrication at the bottom, like what we were talking about.
Rails.
Yep.
Steel rails.
Yep. And then if you winterize the unit, it's 2 gallons of antifreeze, which is an RV antifreeze.
Right.
Okay. So if you want to write that down there too as well.
No, I'm recording, so
Okay.
I'm using this video as a reference.
Okay. All right. And then battery, keep in mind that that's a sealed battery, so you don't have to worry about popping caps off and checking fluid levels or anything like that. But you do want to remember that if you're not going to use it over the winter time, pull the battery out, put a battery tender on it.
Okay.
Okay. And then this is all the extra stuff that I showed you that's in the cabinet and the drawers and stuff like that. Okay. So, all good?
Yep. I would like to take the owner's
owner's
manual
manual?
with and read
You
it
sure
because the trailer's gonna be here for 2 weeks, so that way it'll give me 2 weeks to kind of
Sure.
go over everything. All right.
Yep. Alrighty. If you want to bring in the slide, that's up to you. Otherwise, I can come back out and close it all up.
Okay. These beds actually look bigger in person than they do on video. Because on video, you be looking like, how is somebody gonna squeeze in there? But looking at it here, they actually very sizable.
Yeah.
Okay, should I cut the video off? Are we done?
Yeah.